guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be doing a comparison, a compare and contrast between what used to be my trusty old standby for water-soluble colored pencils, the Prismacolor, or watercolor pencils as some people call them. I'm going to be comparing them to my new-ish, I guess it's been like over a month now, but I still feel like I'm getting to know them. Comparing them to my Faber-Castell watercolor pencils. We're going to be comparing those two and talking about some of the differences in how they perform and just other things about them. All right, so let's jump right in. So first of all, the texture of the pencil itself. So like what I mean by that is how it feels when you're using it, how it lays down. I feel like there's a pretty significant difference in the texture of the actual pigment. The Prismacolors feel a little bit drier to me, maybe a little bit more chalky. I think they may have more filler versus the Da Vinci. No, no matter how much I love these things, I cannot for the life of me remember the name. I don't know why, but anyway, the Faber-Castell have a richer, smoother laydown. It doesn't feel quite like a wax-based or oil-based pencil to me, a softcore pencil, but it feels a lot closer than other watercolor pencils that I've tried. And even right away, just when it's dry on the paper, it looks nicer than the Prismacolor. And because the pigment is more concentrated, it's just easier to get, especially with the dark colors, it's easier to get a lot on the page without running through as much of the pencil, if that makes sense. So you don't have to press as hard to get as dark of a color. Now, I actually do have an example here. I made a sheet, but I made this a while ago, and then I was like really in the zone one day when I was painting, and I forgot that I had made it for this video. So I also have like some random little gouache mixing in the corner happening, and I could redo this thing, but I feel like, I don't know, it's good. I hope you guys don't mind the gouache in the corner, so just ignore that bit, and hopefully the rest of it makes sense. So yeah, regarding how much pigment lays down, you can see the difference between these two purples. This one right here is the Faber-Castell, and this one is the Prismacolor. Now, I hope it's coming through on the camera, but the Faber-Castell is totally smooth. There's no remaining pencil showing through, unblended pencil, and like there is in the Prismacolor. And that's because with the Faber-Castell, I didn't have to put as much pencil on the paper, so there was less to blend out. And in addition, they just blend better as well. So whatever binder they're in breaks down much easier with the water than the Prismacolor's binder does. Now, related to that is their blendability. And when I say blendability, I mean both like how they blend with different colors, but also how easy it is to blend it out once you've got it laid down. So I just showed the example of the really heavy lay down, but this is what it looks like with a much lighter lay down. So you can see these are actually both a version of Carmine Red, and I know they're like really light, but I was intentionally trying not to put too much down on the page. And again, with the Prismacolor, you can see that it didn't fully blend out, even though I blended it quite a bit more than the Faber-Castell. And the Faber-Castell, even though I had like hardly anything on there, usually with the Prismacolor you would see all these little marks, but the Faber-Castell is totally smooth. It looks like a watercolor swatch. So it actually in the end has a look that is much more similar to watercolor, in my opinion, than the Prismacolor does. And it also blends nicer when you're using it with other colors. So you see a smoother gradient the way that you would get with actual watercolor, as opposed to with no pencil marks showing through, as opposed to the Prismacolor. And here's just another example of that in green. This is the this is the Faber-Castell and this is the Prismacolor. Now I also wanted to use these green ones to show how, I'll ignore this little splotch over here. This was just me mixing paint when I forgot what I made this sheet for. But with the Faber-Castell, you can see that the green that you laid down actually looks pretty similar to the green that you end up with. Now, it's not completely similar. There's still obviously a difference, and the blended out green looks a lot brighter. But to me, they're much closer to each other than the green in the Prismacolor. This is olive green, a color that I use quite a bit, and the Prismacolor is olive green. When it's dry, looks very different to me than the Prismacolor olive green when it's blended out. So that's useful information and useful for me because it just makes color easier, because I know when I'm laying it down what it's going to look like, or pretty close to what it's going to look like in the end. And on the note of color, the range available for the Prismacolor watercolor pencils is much smaller than the range that's available for the Faber-Castell. And I don't remember exactly what it is, but I will put it on the screen. So that's not a huge problem. Like I don't mind mixing colors and blending colors, but now that I have had the huge set of all the different colors, I appreciate it so much. So yeah, I would say if you're just getting started and you are using the Prismacolors or some other kind of watercolor pencil, I used them for years and was totally fine with them. And I still would recommend them because they are much more affordable. Overall, they're good quality. They're still a great pencil, and I probably will still break them out from time to time. But the Faber-Castell are just on another level in terms of all of these areas of performance and the color range. I also wanted to mention layering, so how well it does if you have laid down one layer of color, wet it, blended it out, and let it dry, and then put on another layer of color with the water-soluble pencils, not with another media. I honestly feel like they performed pretty similar in this regard. As long as you waited for them to dry, it's fine to do that. The only thing that I would say, the only advantage I would say the Faber-Castell have is that thing that I mentioned about how once the laydown is pretty heavy with the Prismacolor, it can have kind of like a chalky, dry look. And the Faber-Castell still have some of that. I think all watercolor pencils do. None of them are going to look like creamy and luscious the way a softcore pencil does. But the Faber-Castell definitely had less. And I feel like the finished look with several layers, I could imagine actually doing an entire painting in watercolor pencil, which is never something I would have done with the Prismacolors before. Now, I think this is the last note that I want to mention, and it seems like a small thing, but if you work with colored pencils a lot, you will know that it's actually not a small thing. It's a huge deal. But the Prismacolors are a pain in the whatever. They're a huge pain to sharpen. They break constantly, and sometimes I'll have a brand new pencil. And this is true for their softcore pencils and for the water-soluble pencils, unfortunately. But I have sometimes had a brand new pencil, and then just like the first time I'm using it, as I'm trying to sharpen it, we'll end up having to, it breaks and I sharpen, it breaks and I sharpen, it breaks and I sharpen. And I've gone through like a half of a pencil in one day before, a half of a brand new pencil, just because of what a pain they are to sharpen. And that's with like doing it exactly as you're supposed to, holding the pencil and moving the sharpener, using a hand sharpener with a really soft blade, all of the circumstances being ideal and as they should be. The Prismacolors still break constantly. And the Faber-Castell, I have not had them break at all yet. So it is a little bit of a bigger pencil. So I have had to go back to using this sharpener, which oddly enough is a Prismacolor sharpener. And I think it's still available. If so, I will link it in the description box. But the reason I've had to use this is because it has 2 different sizes. And the Alvin brass bullet that I have, which is my, is still, I think, like the nicest, coolest sharpener. And I just love it because it like feels heavy, and I don't know, it's silly, but I really enjoy using this. Yeah, it just doesn't fit with the Faber-Castell pencils, and it doesn't fit with the Caran d'Ache softcore pencils that I've been using either. So both of those I've been having to use the slightly larger one, and I think, does it have the size marked on it? It doesn't. I'll have to look into that. Anyway, yeah, so they are way, way easier to sharpen, even if I have to use the not very sexy kind of clunky plastic sharpener. I will still take that any day over the frustration of my pencils constantly breaking. So I hope that was helpful. I hope that was a clear sort of overview and review. Let me know if there was anything that I didn't cover that you want to know about the Faber-Castells or in comparison to the Prismacolor. And I do just want to say again, if there's folks watching who are still using the Prismacolor and are happy with them, I'm not meaning to disrespect them at all. I think that, again, they're great. I use them for a long time, and I probably will still always have a soft spot in my heart for them because they're the pencils that I use not only my entire professional life thus far, but they were the ones that I used as a kid too. So yeah, I guess I just feel like I want to handle that sensitively. But anyway, yes, let me know if you have other questions about watercolor pencils. And I think that is it for this video. So if you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. And again, yeah, leave a comment whether or not you have a question. I love hearing if you guys found the videos helpful. So let me know. And please subscribe if you're new. And I think that is it. And I hope everybody has a great day. And I will see you all in the next video. Bye. Let down. Oh my God.